Hi everyone, this is Heather Van Wild with Raindrop Works. Um, some things have come to my attention tonight that I think I need to make a few statements. I want to say right up front, I'm not saying this as a way to attack anyone or my intent isn't to complain or criticize or anything like that here. Um, there's a few things that I want to try to give a little bit of context to and give some understanding of how I'm trying to do what I can to make good work for people and improve myself at the same time. Um, Two things I want to talk about. The first one's going to be today, Friday's live stream of the court proceedings. After the morning session, I caught a lot of criticism about the chat moderation. Um, and that was a situation that I recognize I was not as prepared for as I anticipated. Um, the criticisms after the morning session mostly focused around me platforming um, what were being referred to as right-wing extremists. Those who were there for the session know what was what's being talked about here. Um, I was in the process. It opened the door for a lot of questionable content that I should have, in hindsight, been more proactive about. I was the only one moderating at the time, and I was trying to focus on the chat and the trial and everything. I did let myself be overwhelmed. There was a lot more chatter than had been in there the previous day, even though a lot of the same people were there. Someone suggested that it could have been a reflex because of how um, the trial was going, that it was opening up for emotions to flare, and that's entirely possible. But I definitely take responsibility for not preparing for that better. Um, I spent a significant part of the lunch hour trying to figure out how I could address the situation while still, not completely shutting out the chat or completely banning one side of the conversation, which didn't feel appropriate to me personally. Um, I ended up doing it by saying, we need to focus on just the trial, and either it helped or people had a different attitude in the afternoon, and it felt like, to me, things went better. I mean, I think there are still people who would have rather that certain people were not in the chat at all, that they should have gone somewhere else. And I mean, that is I think that's a personal subjective belief. It's part of the reason why when I put out the links on my website to where people could view the trial, I did provide the court's WebEx address so that people could go in and view without having to go through any of my stuff. The fact that all those people were there with me watching was incredibly gratifying, and I was really thankful for the opportunity. But I didn't want people to feel like they had to come through me. I prefer the idea of data being free. So I'm always dealing with a balancing act between my personal ethics of trying to let people, as long as they're being respectful, trying to let people speak their views, and platforming problematic content. I honestly, I'm not sure that I know how well I did this afternoon. And, if people didn't like what I did, I welcome you, reach out, talk to me about it, email, Twitter, YouTube comment. I welcome the feedback. It may not necessarily mean that I'm going to do things exactly the way that somebody wants me to, but I tried to address it in the afternoon. If I didn't do a good enough job, I need somebody to be able to help me process that and come up with a way to do better. I think the second thing that I wanted to talk about, I'm going to do as a separate video here, because it's a very separate topic, a lot longer, and I think it deserves to have its own spot for it.